Hello everyone and welcome back to Imperator Rome. I have another guide for you, this time on Epirus. So before we start out, I will say that Epirus is in a very sorry shape this patch. So this guide will try and explain how to overcome that, but be aware that it is just a very hard, very poor nation to start with at the beginning. So Epirus is famous for basically one reason: Pyrrhus, the guy who his victories coined the term Pyrrhic victory, which means victory that you won on the field of battle, but in reality suffered too many losses that in some ways it's almost a defeat. That comes from his wars against Rome, at which point he was probably the fiercest enemy of the early Roman Republic. And he was also an extraordinarily gifted general and tactician by all accounts. Definitely one of the greatest generals of ancient antiquity. He definitely proves that. He has 13 martial score, which is very strong. He usually gets more as time goes on. He has a unique bloodline, the blood of basically Achilles, because supposedly the son of Achilles came to control this area after the Trojan War. It's got some nice bonuses. Martial popularity gain is huge, as is the morale. Now, you'd think that that would make him the best ruler for this nation, but there is in fact conflict over that. One of his relatives does not think he should rule. Let's see if I can find him. This guy, Neoptolemus, of the same dynasty. He has the same bloodline, but, and this is very important, he has the bloodline of Alexander as well. You will get a event to put him in power. You can, at which point, if he's got children, you can keep both of these bloodlines, which is extraordinarily powerful. The other option is he does have a sister who is unmarried, and you can try to marry Pyrrhus to her once he comes of age. She doesn't always stay that, but then you could theoretically combine both bloodlines because Alexander's passes on through the female line as well. But you may want to switch to the other one. It's up to you. But if you want to roleplay, Pyrrhus is the way to go. So Epirus starts off in a very pathetic situation right now. Its levy and the size of its legion it can raise are really small. You can get up to 10 legion units, so 5,000 troops, which is useful. The problem is you can't really support that. It's pretty good. The other issue is when you put them into a legion, which by the way is led by the guy who's going to try and overthrow you, so I do recommend replacing him with someone else pretty early on. You don't get the benefit of Pyrrhus being your commander. The only way you get the benefit of Pyrrhus having your commander is if you raise the levies. Hopefully Paradox will fix this in a future release, but right now it kind of negates the benefit of having Pyrrhus, other than the benefit he obviously provides your nation with morale and morale recovery. Right now his heir, by the way, is the other guy. So if he dies young, you get the bloodline anyway. So how to expand as these guys? These guys have an extraordinarily bad position. They have one ally, which is nice. The issue is Macedon tends to go after these guys after their war with the Antigonids. You also have no ability to beat Macedon early on. They are much larger. Even with 2 stacks of mercenaries, a fully raised legion, and several allies, I still got squashed by Macedon almost as an afterthought. I've done about 15 games. One of the games I managed to expand to control this region, but I still could not go after Rome and take Rome like the achievement is for Pyrrhus, because at that point Rome had conquered all of Italy and had, 200,000 troop armies running around. It was pretty painful. So, you have a couple choices as this nation. You could do military if you want to have a strong, disciplined nation. You can, in fact, do the starting experience exploit. Take these ones that give experience, raise your levies for 8 months, suffer 2 months of war exhaustion, disband them, get army tradition, and get down the Greek trees, which are okay. If you do, you probably want to go for the stuff that gives you better mercenaries. They can be very useful for multiple reasons. The big reason is you don't have a large army, so mercs are going to be your friend early on. But if you don't want to do that, you can obviously go down the oratory or civics tree. If you go down the civics, go for commerce. If you go down oratory, you probably want to go for improve relations. If you start doing the improve relations and take the hospitium idea, it is still very possible, like most nations, to get subjects in Greece. It's harder because you're small, but you can do it. The other issue is you do not count as the Greek culture group, so everybody you get here would be clients, which is a pain. Really, you can only feudatory. Actually, I don't even know if you can feudatory anybody. Let me poke around here for a moment. I don't think you can. You might be too small right now. I only checked once I had grown to be a regional power, so take that under advisement. You might be able to get feudatories at that point. In the meantime, you can try and get a couple client states. Usually you can get alliances with nations down here. They tend to like you. You're definitely one of the strongest. You're definitely the strongest Greek nation in this area that is not a successor. You can beat Sparta. Sparta, in fact, is a pretty good ally early on. They only tend to attack enemies that get them killed. But they do contribute a fair amount of troops. You've got a mission here, which is basically to secure the throne of Epirus. I'll put this on here. First off, as soon as you take this, divine sacrifice costs go up. So if you're worried about stability, activate this, perform divine sacrifice right before you hit this button to increase your stability, because it will go down if you do some stuff. I'm not going to do it, obviously, because it's an example. You have a couple options here. And the annoying part is once you start doing one, it basically pauses the others to do. Otherwise, it'd be cool because you could get a couple of these going at once. So first one here, if you get your Epistrategos to higher loyalty, you could either bribe him or give her free hands. You get an event, costs you stability, but you get manpower and cohort loyalty chance gain, which is nice, but you lose loyalty of characters. But if you complete this mission, which takes a year, you can then lean on these guys, and they will usually become your feudatory. Otherwise, you get a claim on them and can conquer them. Really, you could just invade and conquer them without this mission, but that's a thing. Over here, if you build more buildings, so if you build a couple barracks counts as 2, training camps count as 1, so you build 2 barracks, you have 10 military buildings. You get a martial score for, I think it's one of your government officials. I can't remember who gets it. Unfortunately, it's not on Pyrrhus, but you get experience gain in heavy cavalry, and at the bottom, if you've got 50 gold, you get a permanent modifier, expanding royal kennels, you get monthly food, freemen, and light infantry offense. That is important because as the Epirus, you do get light infantry discipline and levy size multiplier at the cost of commerce income. This helps with the light infantry. Unfortunately, Epirus's light infantry is still weaker than most nations' heavy infantry, but it means they're not as useless. The next one here, it has to do with diplomacy with these guys up north. So Pyrrhus is no longer a ruler, or there's an ultimatum made against him basically to overthrow him. You can get a decision to try and get these guys as your ally, subject, etc. It's tricky. And you've got an option here of, obviously, if you go further down here, if you control some of these events, the current ruler is no longer the king, Pyrrhus is no longer the ruler, and they own they own their lands they have. You can negotiate to get control of some of their lands here. It's honestly easier just conquering them, at least in my opinion. And then you can do Adriatic colonies here. Which I don't really know why this is supposed to be super useful. I guess migration attraction, so that some people will migrate to you. I haven't found it overwhelmingly useful. On the other hand, you can do this Southern Claims one, which will get you claims on these territories down here. Be aware, though, they are subjects of Macedon, and as I said, Macedon can easily swat you unless you've got either another successor or a super powerful nation. I tried twice to invade these with 2 stacks of mercs, and Macedon basically sent their legion and just could beat me even on even odds. and I went the military tree too. So it's very tricky to take these lands. If you do, then once Pyrrhus dies, or he's gotten rid of the threat of pretenders, you can spend 100 gold. And you'll basically get a new city, at which point you can unlock a deity here. It's a pretty good deity. Over here, you can also, a different member of your government, you get their loyalty there, you get build tax costs, but unfortunately you lose loyalty. Basically all these missions try and take loyalty to cause a civil war. I'll get a little bit more into how that unfolds, but basically that will happen, at which point you can urbanize things. You'll get population growth, integrated culture happiness temporarily, which is nice but not immensely. Cool thing is though, it incentivizes you to improve your starting province, which you want to do anyway. Down here you get another deity, Dione, which is pretty useful. Up here you can do a royal wedding. This one might be the first one you want to take. Basically you'll have a choice to marry, I'm not entirely sure if this event changes based off whether or not Pyrrhus of age or not, but basically you try and marry off one of your female members of your dynasty to a foreign ruler to get an alliance, troops, or money or stuff. Can be very useful. I don't recommend you do it on Macedon or Thrace. It's much better used on Egypt or the Seleucids. I think historically it was the Seleucids, or the Seleucids. Could also work on the Antigonids as well. I haven't played out all the nuances because there's quite a few of that. Then you get settled crown disputes, you get legitimacy, stability. Once you get rid of pretenders, which by the way is the leader of your legion, this guy. You can then build a coastal capital if you own this province, which means you need a war with Macedon to get it, or you need Macedon to die to the Antigonids, at which point you can usually take out their newly freed subjects. Now, I haven't done it myself, but at some point you get a mission that basically allows you to deify Achilles himself. I don't think it's either one of these offhand, but if you do, he's one of the best deities in the game for a war deity. He has the standard bonus of, I believe, troops, but he also provides both discipline and morale and is very strong. So if you get a chance to do that mission, do it. I haven't done it myself, but people have told me about it. So best of luck with that. In terms of events, soon after the start of the game, you'll get an event where you could either keep Pyrrhus on the throne or not. If you don't keep him on the throne, that other guy takes over with the Alexander's bloodline. Pyrrhus tends to rush off to one of the other successors and raise troops to return. When he returns, I haven't explored all the nuances. You can let him become ruler again, or you can fight, I think, a civil war. If you let him become ruler again, he'll have stuff like elephants, which is kind of cool. But unless you go down the commerce tree hard, you won't be able to afford the upkeep on them. But if you do go down the commerce tree hard and you can keep the elephants and stuff, you get a fair amount more added to your cohorts. And it gives you a pretty good army for conquering this area here. Be aware that Macedon is still probably stronger. So in terms of expansion, you can either follow the missions, feudatory these guys, kind of skirmish with these guys, maybe conquer them, wait till the Macedon collapses, help the Antigonids invade. These are all viable options. Or try and subject your way into Greece, which is also a viable option. The trick is to grow quickly, especially if you want to fight Rome. Supposedly there's an event when Rome invades this area that they call for help from you. I haven't gotten in any of my test runs. I'm not sure it can fire. It might be bugged. If someone knows the conditions, by all means put it in the comments. That would help a lot. But basically these guys historically and from that event can call you to aid. If you do accept, you move in here. I don't know if they become your subjects or what, but basically it puts you into conflict with Rome. Be aware Rome is going to absolutely stomp you. If you can't beat Macedon, you can't beat Rome. Rome is just much too powerful. So the trick is to expand quickly. So you can follow the mission to feudatory these guys, or you can just outright invade them. Outright invading them is not a bad move because they call these guys in to the war. And then, therefore, you could go and conquer them as well. They're guaranteed by these guys, but they will not be called into the war if they come in to defend these guys from my test runs. So, basically, we get you 2 more provinces. Consider you start with 7. Any additional land is worth it. The other option, as is very viable, is to disband your alliance or dissolve your alliance with these guys as time moves forward, which is not a bad move because sometimes Macedon goes from them, and then conquer them. You can easily conquer these guys and start conquering all these nations up here. Once you get on the roll going northward, it's really easy. You'll have a legion, you may have a merc army. These guys are tribes, they cannot compete. If you do that, you almost definitely have to start commerce tree, try and get as much income as you can, and then go hard on the religious tree to get open religion at a minimum, so you can put in grand temples. But more importantly, you should probably go for conversion policy, switch to probably either the culture or religious, depends how far you expand. Thankfully, this area is Hellenic at the start, so you can just go culture. Or you can start embracing their cultures as well, which is very viable. They've got a pretty good culture group here. You can pick up with a good amount of population. Or you can convert them all to Epirot culture as well. It's very viable. Other thing to do is in your capital, either build more trading camps, or if you want tech, build academies. You start off with a very bad tech ratio, so I recommend tech. If you want to go south, as I said, subjects or wait for Macedon to get weak. You can't ally the Antigonids at the start. I have found, even if you do the royal marriage, you tend to not be able to have a stable alliance with them. The other option is Thrace up here. You can improve relations. I don't know if you can do the royal marriage with them, but if you can tend to get Thrace as an ally, at which point Thrace plus your troops plus these guys' troops plus a mercenary band probably can beat Macedon. The issue is you have to beat Macedon before the Antigonids invade, because they almost always win the war to conquer Macedon, in my experience. But if you do, you can declare war for this land down here, which you get through the southern claims. You bring in Thrace as an ally. They will usually hand over the lands to you, depending on how fast you start this, and you can seize all this land in one war, at which point you basically replace Macedon and can play from there. Although, honestly, Macedon's probably a better country than Epirus is right now. If you do this, make sure to embrace Macedonian culture. You'll get like 13 more troops in a levy. It's very powerful. At which point you can start going elsewhere. If you wanted to invade southern Greece, this would be the best way to do it. Attack these guys, Tarentum. The problem is they have allies. If you're going to do it, definitely you have to build a fleet to transport your troops, which is expensive considering you start with 4 ships and a very sad income. But if you can do it, get a merc band, raise them, land here, conquer this area, and then you can start marching north to take on Rome. They're all Hellenic here, so if you embrace the cultures, you get more levy troops. If you're going to fight Rome, I recommend you try and get another ally. Carthage would be ideal. It's very hard to get an alliance with them. Syracuse, you can ally from the beginning of the game. You can use them to invade areas like here as well. In fact, a very viable strategy is ally them, declare war on one of these miners, which we'll call on these guys who are their overlords, and then you can take over this whole area. More importantly, it stops Rome's expansion, gives you an ally that is also very weak, but is useful. Once you land here, though, you could try and work your way towards getting an alliance with Etruria. If you can get Etruria at Syracuse and control of this area before Rome does, or you get an alliance with Carthage and control of this area, you can beat Rome. I've seen people do it. I have not done it myself. I just haven't had the time. But in my opinion, Epirus will have to be improved in whatever the next expansion or patch is. It's got way too low of a population. It's got way too low of a levy. And the fact that you can't put Pyrrhus in charge of your army is a real problem. In terms of your deities, you basically got the best ones on. The only one I might change would be Hades to Hermes for the commerce. The pop growth, popularity, aggressive expansion, and discipline are probably going to be your best ones to start with. And I think that is basically it, is these guys. They're a fun little nation. Unfortunately, they are pathetically weak in the current patch. They really need to be improved. I don't know why they made Epirus so weak. But if you can conquer this area, you're in great shape. You can keep expanding. Amazingly, you can actually reunite Alexander's empire as these guys. Or you can go west and invade Greece and form, I believe you can form Magna Graecia, this whole southern area. I will point out the fact that you can expand the Oracle of Dodona here, which is kind of cool. It gets you a wonder. I don't actually know what this does for you, but it's really kind of cool. You have to have a free building slot, and unfortunately you have a barracks there, which means you either need to turn this into a city, ouch, or you need to get rid of the barracks, which is obviously quite an option. You need 50 stability, not hard to get above it. You need 200 gold. If you get rid of this, that puts you to 176, so it gets you pretty close to what you need to renovate it. Get a wonder. Be kind of cool. I assume it's like the normal oracles elsewhere in the game, gives you either stability or events that give you discipline and stuff. If someone knows, by all means put it in the comments. I have not explored this nation in as much depth as I would like. The only reason I did this guide is because I have had so many requests for it, and I have done several test games, 10 or so. It's very tough though. You're going to lose most of the time. Anyway, thank you guys all for watching. Hopefully this helps you with Epirus. If they ever come back and patch and improve Epirus, I'll probably do a new guide on them then, because they'll be a lot more fun to play. If you guys have any other requests for nations to do guides on, let me know. Otherwise, this is probably going to be one of my last guides. Might do one on Sparta or something. But I've covered most of the successors: Carthage, Rome, Macedon, Antigonids, Egypt, the Seleucids, the Maura. I may have to do one on Bactria or Armenia, but for now this will be it for the guides. So hopefully you have enjoyed them. If you have any recommendations or requests, let me know. If you've got any requests or anything for other games you'd like to see me play, by all means put them in the comments or come chat to me on my Discord and stuff. Please do subscribe and like and all of that, and I will see you guys all another time. Bye for now.